There's no need to be hiring an MUA every time you want to go to the club. Clock that. Hello, we are going to be doing my signature soft glam look. I don't think I've ever had to hire an MUA, ever. Because I just got my look down pat. The first step is to moisturize our lips. It doesn't really matter what you put on your lips because we're gonna wipe it off afterward. Because in order to put your lip combo on, your lips have to be free of any product, but we're just putting this product on to hydrate our lips and get them plump. This is just getting them prepared. Basically primer, I guess. If you just leave your lips dry and then put your lip combo on, it's not gonna be as cute because when your lips are dry, they kind of like shrink. Whenever I do a really full glam, I like to use a really sticky primer because we're gonna be putting a lot of products on our face and I want it to stick. So I really like the Milk Hydro Grip Primer. And in order for your primer to work, you gotta let it sit for a little bit. So I use about that much. I rub it between my fingertips and then I press it in to my face. My hands are so cold. I am going to be using the Kosas Nano Brow. This is a really fine pencil, as you can see. It's hard to make a mistake with this because you can just brush it off and it'll just go away. Okay, so I'd like to use the spoolie end and brush my brows through first. And then I like to just lightly fill in the ends of my brows first. Now, I'm going to line the bottom of my brows like this. I like to look at how I'm holding my pencil brush. And I just kind of swipe it. Light as a feather. Putting pressure on whatever you're doing while you're doing your makeup is how you mess up. Whenever I'm doing my makeup, I am very light-handed. Just front of my brow, I just like to go up and down, and for this side of my brow I go side to side, but for the front, up and down. And to hold my brows in place, I'm going to use the NYX brow glue. It's very dirty, as you can see. This is supposed to be clear, not brown, but I'll be using it. I don't like too much glue on the brush, so I'll just wipe that off because I want my brows to be very light and feathery. So I start off with the front of my brows, and I'll just brush that straight up very lightly. And then I'll just start to curve the rest of my brow. Well, I just brush the rest of my brow in this motion, kind of like a rainbow. Just like that, not too much. Girl, that shadow scared me. I don't want my brows to be flat and glued to my face. You know, I don't want all that. I just want them very 3D. This is the last step in our brows. You're gonna need a brush like this. A flat, round brush, very flat. Put a little dollop of concealer on the back of my hand. Keep my brush flat, and I just get a tiny bit of concealer. I like to carve the ends of my brows first because the ends of the brows require the most product. And then I just bring it in with the remaining product and just keep lightly carving. Bring that down because we're gonna cover the rest of our eyelids with concealer as well. And then I just bring the concealer to the middle like a unibrow and just cover all that. I get the rest of the concealer and kind of cover up my eyelids. It's kind of tricky because I have lash extensions. That was a lot of product. And to blend everything a little bit easier, I'm gonna use this BK Beauty Angie Hot and Flashy brush. You should be looking something like this. I'm going to be using the Too Faced, the Natural Nudes palette. Too Faced makes the best eyeshadow ever, okay? And I always start off with kind of a light beige color, but adjust the shades to your skin complexion. So I'm gonna get the shade Swan, and I'm gonna put that on my eyelid first. And for my eyelid, I always pat it instead of swiping it because I really want the color to be pigmented. And again, it is tricky because I have lash extensions, but people adapt. Now I'm going to go in with this shade Nude. It's this one right here. So super, 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 super light brown, barely brown. I'm going to use a fluffy brush like this, lightly dab it in the shade, just not too much, not too much. And I'm going to kind of like blend on my brow bone. It's gonna feel crazy, but trust, it's gonna blend really well. Very, very light-handed, very, very light-handed. I like to bring it out like this. And yes, I literally blend it up to my brows. I take my time with the blending. If you want everything to look, is that right? Damn it, I hate when my lashes come out. I'm gonna add a little bit more. I focus most of the product in my outer corner right here. Now I'm going to take a slightly darker brown, maple. So it kind of looks like caramel. Just a tiny bit. We are going to use a smaller brush, smaller fluffy brush, because we're covering a smaller surface. And I'm going to kind of fluff it out in my outer corners like this. And then bring it in. We're gonna take that bigger fluffy brush that we first used and just blend everything together. We're gonna do our liner. I always do my liner with eyeshadow. I'm gonna take the darkest brown on the palette. I like to do this with a dark brown instead of a black because black is too harsh. And again, this is a soft glam look. And I like to take an angled brush. This is from the Sephora pack of the brushes I bought. I'm gonna hold my lashes down with a spoolie. Again, you don't have to do this if you don't have lash extensions. And first make a line. Very, very lightly. Keep adding the brown shadow. And I like to bring the line back down. The wing is literally the only part you need to practice. And I just keep filling it in until I get it as dark as I want it. The wing is done. The wing is done. So now we just have to fill it in. The hard part is done. So now I just like to like tap it with my with more shadow, and then just kind of line the rest of my eyes. It's gonna be a lot easier if you don't have lash extensions. You can just do this and just do a quick line. I'm going to be using the Dior Backstage foundation in the shade 3W. I just use this much. That's all you need, because we're gonna be using contour concealer, so keep that in mind when you're doing all of this. And then I just like kind of dot it all over my face. And I don't put any foundation under my eyes because we're putting concealer there. There's no point. And by the way, this is the BK Beauty 101 brush. It's very dense, perfect for blending. Using a brush to blend anything on your face, always buff it like this instead of swiping because you're gonna get streaks. And you're really pressing it in when you buff it too. I love this foundation because it's very buildable and it's not cakey at all. It does kind of have a matte finish though, so if you have dry skin, opt out. And I like this brush because like you can use the top to get into creases and stuff. Now I'm gonna use this e.l.f. foundation brush. Looks like a paint brush. And I'm gonna take a tiny bit of the, see, I never use all the foundation on my hand. I'm gonna take a tiny bit and put a little bit on my forehead like this and just kind of like carve my brows out and just go back in with our beauty blender and smooth all that out. Always go back in with a beauty blender just so you can like press any possible streaks that you may have missed. Now I am using the Ilia complexion stick in the shade 35W. This is what I use for my contour. I also use the regular complexion stick for like regular foundation. But when you're contouring, always put your contour above where you think you need to put your contour, because when you blend, it naturally goes down. So I put it like cheekbone, on top of my cheekbone. The natural line of your cheekbone, never put your contour there, or at least I don't like to, because I just like my face to be kind of snatched. And I contour the top of my face too, and a little bit on my nose, because my nose contour doesn't always look that good. I don't know why, I just hate contouring my nose. Now I'm going to take my e.l.f. Ultimate Blending Brush. Perfect for contour. Hold it like, you know, hold your brush like a princess, like oh, la, 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 la. That's how you need to act when you're blending your face. So very lightly, and I go upwards. I do not swipe, I just tap. Upward taps like this. And for my forehead, I like to bring it down instead of up, because I do not like having an ashy forehead. Very, very light princess taps. Very, very light, like a princess. And to blend my nose, I'm using this Real Techniques brush. It's short and dense. I don't know the name because it's already like scratched out, so I'm sure you can find it at Ulta or Target. Nose contour already fucking up. This might be nasty to y'all, but go ahead and wipe them eye crusties out, because you do not want them in your concealer. This is always my step before I put my concealer on. I'm using the Hourglass concealer, the best concealer ever, in the shade Sepia. You don't need a lot. The Hourglass concealer is super, super creamy and thick, so you do not need a lot. This is the amount I use. And I like to put some right here because we're gonna clean that line up later. And a little bit on my nose, just the teeniest bit. This is the Kosas Beauty Blender. They have literally the same one by e.l.f. I think it's called the e.l.f. Camo Sponge, but it's super similar. I love a sponge with a good point for blending concealer. I always blend the outside of my concealer first, because that requires the most product. So like this area, and then I go down and then I blend my inner corners last. So be careful when you blend around your wing. And I like to put a little bit on the sides of my nose like this, you know, kind of reverse contouring. And now I'll blend my inner corners. And to kind of clean up our wing, I'm gonna take the brush we use to carve our brows. I'm gonna take a little bit of the concealer, just a tiny, tiny bit, and clean up the wing a little bit. Perfect. And now that we have our little clean cut, we're gonna blend that with our beauty blender. Very, very lightly, light taps. We are going to blend the top of our nose. I just used the beauty blender for this. I'm gonna take some Radiant NARS Creamy Concealer in the shade Macadamia and put it on the sides of my nose right here, because the sides of my nose really crease bad, like right here. So use my Angie Hot and Flashy brush to blend that. I'm running out of time. Why did I decide to do this when I actually had a place to be? Now the fun part, blush. I feel like this shade gives very soft glam. This is Giorgio Armani Luminous Cheek Tint in the shade 53. And I like to put it like kind of on top of where I blended my concealer right here, because I want my blush to kind of, you know, chisel or snatch my face. Since we're gonna put powder on top of all this, don't be afraid to be heavy-handed with the blush. Now I'm using my Morphe brush. This is the M449, and again, just tap it, light taps. And I like to blend it up to my concealer like that, so it snatches my face. My secret for a bright under eye is this Laura Mercier Secret Brightening Powder. It is white, but don't let it scare you. I literally just put this like right under my eyes, nowhere else. I've been loving this powder. This is the Huda Beauty Cherry Blossom Cake. And I'm gonna set the rest of my under eyes with this. It smells so good too. And just set the rest like that. I'm gonna take this YSL bronzer in the shade All Hours. And we're not supporting him right now, but this is the Patrick Ta contour brush. And just like kind of bronze my forehead a little bit and warm it up. Before I put my bottom mascara on, I'm gonna set my face with the One Size On Till Dawn. I'm gonna add a little bit more blush because like I said, we went over the cream blush with powder, so it's kind of invisible right now. I'm gonna use the Laura Mercier blush in the shade Strawberry. Really pretty. And where is my... Sorry y'all, my phone is going off because my friends are asking what I'm wearing and stuff. So this is the Dibs Beauty brush, and I'm gonna use this side and just lightly tap it. Perfect. That's really pretty. Our last step is this L'Oreal Paradise Big Deal concealer for our bottom lashes. And now we got to do our lip combo, which is very simple. But remember I said we had to get our lips prepared for the lip combo? So I'm just wiping all that off my lips. Now my lips are juicy, you see? Because we were like marinating our lips basically. So I'm using the One Size lip liner in the shade Rent Dew. Tried and true. I love this girl. It kind of has like a reddish undertone to it. Now for the gloss, I'm using the Huda Beauty Faux Filler in the shade Ooh Baby. It smells like the Summer Fridays gloss. And I feel like this pink kind of matches our blush. That is it for the soft glam. I had to take my hair down to give y'all the full effect. Yeah, hope you guys enjoyed, and I'm probably gonna come back and record again and see and show y'all how my makeup looks after a long night. Thank y'all for tuning in. Okay, so I just got back from my night out. I'm a little bit tipsy, but as you can see, the makeup is still giving fresh. It's still giving just did it. I hate the fact that I was like rushing towards the end of the tutorial because I actually had somewhere to go. That wasn't wise to film a tutorial when you have somewhere to go. But I'm filming in real time, so I'm doing stuff I actually need to be doing. Love you guys.